Hello, hello, hello. We are live. So I'm also going to go live on Facebook. So thank you so much, Richard Moore. He was on the very first episode of the podcast. And I'm going to go live here also. So there it is. Start live video. Hello, everybody. All right. I am live. I dropped off my son this morning at school, and I was not necessarily planning to go live, but thank you, Richard, for pushing me to do this. And hello, Richard. And Dale, and we're also live here on YouTube. So this is perfect. So thank you. And hello. Okay. I'm going to jump into the direct messages and so many things. I thought it was funny, and I'm going to start with I thought it was funny that this whole conversation between Richard and I got started because of, first of all, it was my birthday on Friday. Second of all, it was launch of the podcast on Friday. And third of all, Richard was the first guest on the podcast, and we talked about earning the right to ask. And we talked about, positioning and networking. And why do people go all funny online when it really is the exact same feeling and conversation if you're going to meet somebody new, brand new, in person? So what I'm going to talk about is that I was joking. I'm going to sing a song that I sang in the DMs to Richard. You're going to get a glimpse of the messages I leave in the DMs. I leave a lot of voice messages. If anyone has spent any amount of time with me, they know this. So I basically said, because it was my birthday on Friday, I was like, it's my party and I'll rant if I want to, rant if I want to. So that began the rant of what is going on in the DMs? How do people not see this? So when I think about the direct messages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and specifically on LinkedIn, I spend a lot of time there, and so many people want to make sales. Yes. Hi, Barbara. That's my sister. So the direct messages, when we are able to, first of all, leave a voice message. And Richard was just saying that it's so personal. People don't mass produce at this point, that many people don't mass produce voice messages. So when they see that in their direct messages, they're so likely to click on it. I got a direct message, voicemail from Michelle this morning. Super, can't wait to play it. So there's that feeling that you are kind of creating a good conversation. Plus, it feels like you're just walking up to somebody like normal in real life. Instead of getting a message saying, hey, hi, how are you? In written form, you're seeing them say, and you're hearing them say, hey, how are you doing? Just wanted to say thank you for being a great new connection. I look forward to seeing you in the comments and content online. So the biggest thing, and maybe this is something that I feel like I didn't necessarily hear Richard talking about, so it's unique, that I tend to, and maybe it's because, again, coming from being a female online on social media, I tend to, if I can't quite figure out what the conversation is going to be about. So if somebody has sent me a direct message and it's not totally clear what they want to talk about, I will direct them back to the public profile. I won't disconnect necessarily right away. I will just kind of say, hey, great to hear from you. Sometimes it's somewhat of a standard message that I can just copy and paste. That's very quick, very simple, saying, hi, thank you for connecting. I really appreciate getting to know people in the public comments online. Looking forward to our conversations there. I have created a subtle but strong boundary that's welcoming, but still, if I can't figure out who someone is through their social media, what they've put out, it's It's a way to continue the conversation and not shut somebody down. And maybe they could be a potentially amazing connection or amazing client, or maybe they didn't know how to open up the conversation. But at this point, if they're really a great connection, they'll reply back, oh my gosh, that is perfect. I just saw, sometimes they'll reply back, yeah, I just saw one of your posts. It was incredible. So, oh, hi, Christine. She misses me. I love that. Thank you. And so what I'm trying to say is from a female perspective, from being online, from not knowing who everyone is and what their intentions are, I really, really like to push people back out into the public comments online. And then if they continue to, maybe it takes one comment on one video and I see that they're legitimate, they're actually engaging, they're writing amazing comments, then I continue the conversation in the DMs. It really started for me because I received some very, very, very inappropriate DMs, and I might as well say what they were. So I received a GIF of two people doing something extremely inappropriate that is without very much clothing. So that was very upsetting to receive. And I've also received comments in the DMs where they say, I have a question for you. And I really pause on that one now, because I don't really feel like somebody who says, I have a question for you, can I ask you a question? I've learned that 9 out of 10 times that has not gone well if I continue down that thread. So what I will say is I'm very clear to say, I am available for professional conversations and questions. Let me know what subject. And if they respond back with anything other than letting me know what subject it is, I kick them out because they didn't answer my question. If I can't have a professional conversation back with somebody in the DMs, they pretty quickly get kicked out. And by professional, that doesn't mean we can joke around, we can have fun, we can laugh. Professional to me is basically just not crossing that boundary of just things you don't ask. If you wouldn't ask it in public, standing there at a networking connection and conversation, why would you say it in the DMs? But again, people think their DMs are private. And in this day and age, your DMs are never private. People can screenshot, people can share that with the world, people can put you on blast. So for anyone thinking, okay, I'm going to send this DM, it's never private. Never, 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 never private. All right. Another thing is people, and again, maybe I'm kind of leaning on this conversation maybe a little heavily as far as coming from the female perspective. When I get a message saying, I'd like to meet you for coffee, and I have never met that person in person, I always say I'd like to either, depending on what their profile looks like, how many connections we have in common, how they have put themselves out into the platform, how they've opened up their messages, I will always say, I'd be more interested in getting a virtual coffee first and seeing if there's something for us to talk about, especially because we don't know who other people are. And even if you're going to meet somebody in a public space, there's those moments of going home, getting in and out of your car. I mean, again, I'm talking about a safety perspective, and this can go for men and women. Okay, so I'll get off my rant there about just your safety, but also keeping your conversations on track. If you're online to even if you're in any type of network marketing, if you're trying to sell something, even if you're trying to network because your business is speaking engagements, you're trying to get people to see that you have a new book, you want people to listen to your podcast. By the way, I have a new podcast. I have the Judy Fox Show, and I've got 7 interviews. I have another one tomorrow with Rachel Cook. I saw her on here for a minute. I'm so excited for the people who are going to be on the podcast. But the very first episode was Richard Moore, and he shouted me out this morning because we had conversations in the DMs. And I will back up and say the conversation, sorry, I'm reading some of the, I'm going to have to go back through some of the comments, by the way, because I can't do both. I don't know how people do this on lives where they read comments, respond. I'm going to scroll back. Let me get through this. So and I love your comments, so drop them. I'll address them at the end. So let me see if I'll address them at the end. And I will go live for about maybe 5 more minutes. There you go. So what I want to say is that I lost my train of thought. I knew I was going to lose my train of thought. I knew it. Aha, I remember now. When you get DMs, and especially I'm noticing, first of all, if you're about to send a DM that reminds you of any DMs that you have received and have cringed at, just stop yourself. If you receive DMs that say, hey, would you mind promoting my new product? I can appreciate the hustle. Appreciate it so much because what's up? All right. I can appreciate it because we need to support our families. We need to we need to feel like the time we spend online is valuable. Nobody wants to waste their time online. So when I think to myself, I can appreciate where so many of these people are coming from. So many haven't had sales training. I mean, wouldn't it be incredible if we taught young people how to do sales? It would be incredible. So when I think to myself, I pause, and then it depends on the person. Most of the time, I'm not able to probably respond one-on-one to say, okay, here's what I would do, what I wouldn't do, because not everyone wants advice back. And I think that's really tough because I think people who have some amount of sales and sales training, they turn around and they cringe and they're like, no, don't immediately ask me for the pitch. Even if we're friends, we could burn out our friend connections so quickly if we try to leverage them for one thing. Now, I feel like there's a couple things happening. There's moments in time where you have built up enough social capital to do the ask. You have been so in love and giving to your community. I truly believe there's moments where when you're launching a book, when you're launching the podcast, when you're continuing to provide so much value that you have earned your own right to go into the DMs and ask. But I would say that's only after a period of time when you have so much kind of coming in at you saying, I want to hear what you're up to. I want to hear what you're up to. When people start to say, I want to hear what you're up to, that's when you start to earn that right to ask them for what you need them to do, but don't burn them out. And if you're going to start to ask people for support, realize there's things that you can do to keep on earning that right. And keeping on earning that right is through humor. If you can keep people laughing, people are going to do a lot of things. There's a lot of back and forth with laughter. There's a lot of good energy with so much value. So if I get on lives and I provide a lot of value, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, go listen to my podcast that I just launched on Friday and support it, write a rate and a review. And I can't wait for it to be up on iTunes. So you can do that, but you can't do it if you've not provided any value, any behind the scenes, any humor, any emotion. If I even got on and shared a heart-wrenching story and it helped somebody else and made them not feel alone, that's still value. So, all right, let's see. So meet for coffee. I don't meet anyone for coffee. I say I can do a virtual coffee. So on the phone, I'm going to talk to somebody. People who are waving, they just wave and they just say hi. Again, I might check out their profile and see what's going on. But 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to send them my generic message, or I might just hit ignore. There's times where you have to remove the guilt, because I think a lot of people feel that they have to respond to every message and they start feeling guilty that they can't get back to everybody. And I have been there. I have totally been there. And I was feeling guilty because I didn't respond to some amazing messages, amazing messages. And I felt so guilty. And there were some things going on in my life, and there were things happening. Again, the guilt was real. So here's the thing. I have learned, I actually reached out to 2 people recently that had sent me amazing messages, and I had not gotten back to them. And I felt like the time period had been kind of long. And what I will say is good people are gracious and kind, and they understand. Good people. And both of those people responded with so much kindness and so much grace and so much just back and forth empathy to say, it's all good. I'm glad that we're talking now. I mean, this is months later. So I think what is so important is that overall, if you have this kind of positive, kind energy that you're putting out into the world, and you don't post things like, hey, where have you been? I haven't heard from you. Somebody dropped that in my DMs recently where they put a question mark and they were edgy about it, and they seemed upset that I hadn't gotten back to them. And I was thinking to myself, how does that make me feel? I understand how they were feeling. They were feeling ignored and upset, and I could tell from their message. But I started to realize we hadn't built up a relationship that was at that level that I would say to myself, you know, we're so close that I should feel guilty that I didn't get back to you. And I think that's a really hard thing. And I've had to remind myself that I should not feel guilty if somebody else is upset that I haven't gotten back to them when our relationship has barely started. Barely. And I think people are kind of short-changing the relationship because they think it's fast forward online, and it's not. It's the same thing as in person. If you walked up to somebody, so you've been to one networking event in person, and then you walked up to them at the next networking event 1 month later, and you said to them, hey, I haven't heard from you. What's up? Where have you been? Like in a way that was a little edgy and a little upset that they hadn't heard from you. That's really awkward in person, right? I can't imagine it going any other way unless they infused a little bit of humor, or they said, oh my gosh, I've been so swamped. Have you been super swamped? I've seen you posting. Oh my gosh, I loved that post when you wrote da 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 da. I mean, we're on the platform to build relationships. And when you're meeting in person, it's the exact same thing. The second time you see somebody at a conference, you're building a relationship or a networking event. You do the same thing online and you do it offline. You do it both ways. You're building a relationship. And I feel like people on social media want to fast forward it. They want to fast forward it to, here's my website. Fast forward it to, here's my Facebook group, join it. Fast forward it to all the things. And I'm thinking to myself, I just met you. I don't even know that I want to join your Facebook group. I don't even know that I want to follow you. I don't even know, like, I don't know anything. And then I think the other thing is people are saying to themselves, well, I don't know how I can promote your product, especially if somebody's kind of reaching out and they're a friend of yours and they're saying, hey, can you promote this? Well, probably not. I think we all have to remember that unless we're running that business with them and we're a partner, that, or they're like beyond best friend in the entire world, you kind of have to remember that they have their own message, their own platform, and you probably can't pull on their social capital unless you have like super given in such a way that that person's like, and then you would expect them to say, let's talk about it. Because sometimes that person can't put in some other person's ask into their planned out content strategy and schedule. All right, so let's get to the questions, which I can't see. So, how do you get tonal vibes from a typed message? Just as Zach. So if I type, does it mean I'm pushy? If I type in caps, is that wrong? I think if you, again, your vibe is going to attract your tribe, and people are going to know who you are. And there's going to be people who aren't going to get your casual, your jokes, they're just not going to get it. And so, first of all, hi to everyone watching, because I haven't had a chance to say hi to everyone. And I'm so, so grateful that you've all joined. This is probably like my second live, so I'm still really getting used to the format. And thank you, Richard, for pushing me to do this today. All right, so I think, you have to, again, Zach, going back to your message, I think if you write in all caps, if that's your style, then it's your style. I don't want to like necessarily say this is what I say. If it's converting for you and it's working, you keep doing it. If it's attracting the right vibe and tribe and your right client, you keep doing it. But if it's not, then you question it and you try to do something different. And somebody the other day said, Judy, the no like and trust factor is dead. And they were like, it's actually the trust and respect factor. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I think you still, by the people you want to buy from you, you should generally want to be somewhat likable, and you don't want people hating you. So yes, I can still respect people, and I don't know if I can trust people I don't really like, to be honest. So hello, Team Live Phoenix. All right. Hi, Daniel. You are always so supportive. So Erica, I get so annoyed when I reply on a post and then I get someone private message me, hi, how are you? Creepy and gross. There is no right or wrong. You're right, Richard. So back to Erica. Hold on. I have a little bit of like jumping all around. Okay. I agree. And I will pretty quickly either kick them back out of my DMs and say, thank you for the comment online. I prefer to keep these types of back and forth, hi, how are you conversations on the public messages. I do that all the time. If they don't respect my boundaries, they're never going to be a good client. Plain and simple. If somebody can't respect your boundaries, and I heard this on a podcast recently that basically said, if you are creating professional, kind boundaries and somebody doesn't respect them, that shows more about them than it does about you, especially if you just created your personal boundaries. I mean, for example, I had a boundary around Thanksgiving saying I was going to take some time off. I let my clients know. And there's these moments that I say to myself, there was complete professionalness in all of this. But I had one client that had maybe, let's just say, a little bit of edge and problems with some of what I wrote. And they said, I was expecting, to be able to, keep working. And I said, well, here, why don't we finish up what we're working on and the timeline? And it's so interesting because, again, I actually said to them, what I'm noticing is we're not on the same page. And why would we? And, I think the work to, yeah, okay, sorry. I'm seeing what Ray just wrote, but basically I was saying, I do have to take some time off for my family. And that is very normal. And if your work is completed and done, that's just the way that it is. It should not be something that you can't put a boundary around. So whenever I think to myself, I'm creating a boundary, and if somebody has a problem with it, number one, they're probably not an ideal client. And then number two, the people who benefited the most from you not having boundaries are the ones that are upset. Those are the ones that get upset when they were the ones benefiting the most from you not having boundaries. All right. I'm seeing Ian and Richard talk back and forth, but basically, yeah, there's less and less people writing and people use emojis. I was joking around with somebody and I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be fun to have a whole conversation in a form of GIFs or GIFs, whichever way you say it? I say GIFs. Anyways, I think it's kind of funny, but I think only if you establish that you're going to do it first. I think what's interesting is you can have entire conversations that are all emoji based, but part of me says, why don't you just have fun and say, hey, I was thinking that we could have a whole conversation in emojis or something. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can let people know what to expect back and forth from your conversations. And it's pretty quick. So I'm going pretty long. I didn't realize I would go this long on live. So thank you for all hanging in there. All right. So yes. I'm reading some of the comments. So being in private mode, I definitely sometimes go to private mode. What I also realized is I took myself as many places online. I took off that green dot that shows I'm online sometimes because it became too much. When I'm online, it doesn't always mean, and I'm sorry, I'm looking between two cameras. Okay. When I'm online, it doesn't always mean that I am available. It's a shocker. It doesn't mean any of us is available if we are online and that green dot. Now, depending on the person, sure, there might be a moment where there's something urgent or there's something happening, but sometimes I'm online and my time block right that minute is to reply to LinkedIn messages. And so I'm in the zone, reply messages, like DMs, whatever, or I'm replying to comments public on the platform. But that doesn't mean I'm available right that minute to drop everything and start a random side conversation. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes I, forget that and I kind of drop something. It depends on the purpose. But it does not mean I'm totally available. And I find that really interesting because I've noticed that I just take down that green dot when I do that now, because I've noticed some people can start to chip away at your kind of inner feelings of being online. And I can go back and say, I did 4 years off of social media. So coming back online, I've had to be somewhat protective and realize where being online gives me more energy and where being online starts to take away my energy. And I love the creative and I love the conversations. I love the comments and conversations and like having these cool back and forth. But I've noticed where I start to feel like I'm not gaining and I'm starting to feel like, what's that thing where people are kind of pulling and poking on me, is when I feel like they get this sense that I'm 1000% always available. And that's not the case. And I think there's that feeling of, yes, I can be available, but it doesn't mean I can drop everything right that second and engage in a full conversation about whatever, whenever, that kind of feeling. So let's see, 4 years sounds like a dream. That the one thing I want to say about taking time offline, not saying anyone needs to do it. Roger, I'll read that one in a minute. But the one thing is that it gave me perspective, number one. Number two, it gave me a sense of calmness that I remind and I can center myself in. Not everyone needs to take 4 years to find this. But what I did is realize that business is always about people. And I think we kind of can forget that, especially if we get on social media and we get too caught up. And then basically the feeling of, like I said, you're not always available and that business happens whether you're online or not. It just does. And I think realizing that I ran a successful business is a huge part of that learning that happened during those 4 years. So does my dog want to say hi? Come on, honey. She's so cute. You want her to join the live? I want her to join the live. She's so cute. Come here, honey. Oh, wait. She doesn't want to. Come here, honey. Come on. You want to join? Okay, come on. I know you do. Okay. She's like 40 pounds. All right. This is how she responds to DMs. Oh my gosh, she's like, wait, I don't know about this. Do you want to speak? No. All right. We train people how they treat us, but what they allow them to do. Yeah, we need to take a stand. I will not respond. Yay. Thank you, Erica. Oh, she is so sweet. She's so good. Oh my God. She's such a good dog. All right, let's see. So I haven't gotten back to everybody, but let's see. I don't know how people do this. Yeah, self-care and social media is so important, Neil. I screen messages before opening. Yeah, I've actually, like I said, I was very shocked by some of the messages I've gotten. One message I will say to kind of back up, when I answered the question, when somebody says, "Can I ask you a question?" I just, why didn't you just ask it? There's a small part of me. Okay, now you're going to see the real Judy Fox rocks because you can't hide on live. Basically, I get messages and they ask, "Can I ask you a question?" And I'm like, "You just did. So you just asked a question. That's it. You had one question. So you already asked it." Oh, just because I'm Daniel, I'm reading yours. Thank you for the quote. Doesn't mean I'm available. Isn't that the truth? Oh, sweetie, we've gotten so used to everyone thinking we're online all the time, and that just can't be the case. Sometimes we're working. Being on social media, my baby. Oh. Ian. So I do probably get away with sending. So Ian says only people that develop rapport can do that. I wouldn't send gifts back and forth with a new connection. I agree. And at the same time, I think if enough people have followed me on social media, my first branded word is fun. I want my business for the rest of my life. Oh, I think she's done. Oh, you just done? You want to say goodbye to people? Bye. Okay, she's done. Oh, sweetie. Anyways, I'll probably wrap up here, but I went a lot longer than I thought I was going to go. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. But basically, I think that, oh, where was I? Oh, gifts. I send the first branded word I thought of. It wasn't even like I was thinking of branding. I was just thinking to myself, I want my business to be fun. I want for the rest of my life to be able to have fun. And I don't think work and fun have to be separate. I don't think that you have to be so buttoned up that you can't have value. You can have crap tons of value and still be fun. So I don't see why they have to be separated, and you can't be taken seriously in a business meeting. Now there's time and a place, and I do know those moments that you can kind of pull back and say, okay, maybe we're not going to have a ton of fun right now. But everyone needs to take a deep breath. And I was even watching, not that this matters, but I was watching Grey's Anatomy last night, and I was watching last week's episode. And of course, right before surgery is very stressful. And I mean, I know it's not real life, but the point is it does reflect on what happens in real life. And I'm watching Grey's Anatomy, and I was sitting there thinking, Catherine Fox, which by the way, how awesome, Fox. Catherine Fox has a tumor on her spine, and she's going into surgery. And her son, Jackson, puts on the fun music and they dance before they have surgery. And while doing surgery, they're listening to music. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, that is exactly what people need and want, because it is fun. You have to have fun, and you have to infuse that fun, because what the freaking heck is life for if there's no fun, if it's miserable, if it's a slog every single day? And at one point, I felt that way. So I have done as much as within my grasp to decide that for the rest of my life, I can create work and life and business, and it can be fun. Doesn't mean my life is joy and roses and pink narwhals in the background you can see over here, or all my foxes. I have so many foxes. I got foxes for my birthday this year. Thank you, Jamie. Jamie Cohen. Oh, wait, where's that fox? Oh, it's the best fox. It's so cute. All right. Let's see if we have anything else. Oh, I'm so excited for you, Erica. So let's see. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Pervy. Sarcasm. Yeah, I do have some sarcasm. Oh my, that bothers me. So, yep, you your question. Thank you, Richard. You do it, right? That's what it is. Yes, go follow him. There's so many people, amazing people in the comments here. So check people out. Let's see. LOL, amped up live stream. All right. Oh, the dog is pattern interruption. Yeah, but she's so great. Oh, and I just joined TikTok. How random is that? I'm very excited for my first, I did a TikTok, but I'm excited to do an actual planned out TikTok. I've got so many ideas. So yes, my dog is a seasoned live person. So, and I would be happy to help you, Erica, to transform from happy nurse to brave woman. I don't know. Let me scroll back to the beginning if there's more comments. Holy schmoly. All right. Yay, there's so many people to wave to. All right. So I think we will wrap up here. Hello, the dog already left. So she was the main draw, wasn't she? So, all right. If anyone is interested, go check out the podcast. I put it on my website, judifox.com. That's where you can find all my social media handles. The next episodes, I'm going to shout out amazing comments, and I've already got 2, and I've got 7 episodes coming up, so I need 5 more amazing comments that I can shout out. It's not up on iTunes yet. I don't know why it takes time to get up on iTunes. I'm going to do another live. I think this would be a great one because people have been asking about my equipment for podcasting because I'm doing all the initial podcasts in person. So I will show you guys the behind the scenes of my equipment. And I read one blog post, and I got some advice from like Tim Allison, and I've been following Mark Metry, and I've been paying attention to what Richard Moore is doing as far as launching a podcast. Oh, and Tima was 1000% so helpful on launching the podcast. And I will just kind of go through that on another live because I think people overthink starting a podcast. Launch it. I'm not even up on iTunes. I launched it. It's not the end of the world. It still, people can listen to it. It's on Podbean. It's up on Spotify. I think it's on SoundCloud now, but I'm just like pushing it out and just that's where you go. So I probably need to get it on Anchor. You're right. And that's where you go. So yay. Oh, wait. I heard Judy say she was going to read my comment, and that was 10 minutes ago. That hurts. LOL. She's the best. Yeah, I know. Yay, you do it. And yes to TikTok. TikTok's fun. Okay. I left Richard a voice message and he approved. So Richard Moore. So I am going to do this TikTok. It's going to take, I don't know. I don't think it's going to take that long to film it. But yeah, even like 60 seconds of video can take 4 hours sometimes to film. Oh, what does the fox say? Yes, that is still a thing. And I started a merchandise store because I was like, how fun are foxes? Foxes are so much fun. So I started a merchandise store. I picked Design by Humans mainly because of Clintus. If you don't know Clintus, he is a Twitch live streamer. I don't really do all those video games, but he is a great guy. He's out in Phoenix, Arizona, and I found out what store he was using. So there you go. And that's how it goes. You find out what other people are doing. Oh my gosh, I love this. Oh, the baby shark. I almost feel like it'd be like baby fox do 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 do, baby fox do 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 do, baby fox. Oh, I do have a baby fox. Well, I actually do have a baby fox. Oh, it's so cute. I have so many foxes. Okay, so here's the dad. Here's the fox family. Oh, they're so cute. Oh, Design by Humans. That's the store. Design by Humans. And I've only put up a fox sticker. Oh, I can't show you because I'm live and it's on my phone. So I made a fox symbol and it's a sticker. And I will then, yes. So thank you, Ian, for putting it in there. And if you just search for JUDIFOX, I think if you can't find it, let me know. Because I literally just did it last night and my store got approved. Because you have to get approval. Everyone needs to approve you. So yes, and they have, the reason I picked them is because they say they have the softest tees. So I want to have a t-shirt that says like, fox it up. What
What the Fox, some other t-shirts like that. And then of course I'm doing my own artwork because obviously I don't want to infringe upon anyone's copyright. So I have done all my own artwork at this point, and it is what it is. I should get my son to do the artwork. That would be fun. Oh, maybe me and him can sit down and do it tonight. But thank you. Thank you for everyone watching on YouTube. That is so great. I am definitely filming my YouTube videos. Thank you for everyone watching on Facebook. And eventually I'm going to do an Instagram Live. I will get there. So, mwah, mwah. And if anyone has any questions, let me know. Goodbye, everybody.